Oh, that was a bad clap. Let me clap again. Music matters. Miss Devon again. How you feeling?
Good.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. This one will be fun. Cause I've been like, it's been cool to get to know you, but also been like a big fan of your stuff for a long time. I think when I first found your stuff, it was like, I think through, it was like 2021 or 22, but I think the first thing I found was Head, and then I backtracked and everything and became a fan very fast. But I have this thing, and I always say, like, there's very much like, there's certain artists that always have like a moment in their songs. I think that like was how I fell in love with your music at first, because it was like every song of yours I feel like has like a moment to it. Thanks. Yeah, like whether it's like I feel like I Still Dress Myself has that for sure. I think Head has like a really big moment in the drop, but it was like I found myself getting more and more into your songs as like I found these like moments. So that was the first thing I wanted to ask you about. Like, when you're kind of building out the production of a track, how much of that comes like after the fact? Are you thinking about it as you're writing it, or does that come entirely after? And do you start writing like acoustically? Because that's the thing. It's like you're still a very like lyrical artist for sure, but the production is always like crazy.
Well, I think Still Can't Dress Myself was like
Sorry, I'm pulling up real quick.
I like that it's in the blog. I also didn't know it was that color.
Oh yeah, neither did I.
That's crazy. What color is this?
I didn't know Blueberry Europe looked like red wine.
And this one's this one's like yellow.
That's crazy. I did not know that. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, I can hear myself wheezing when I breathe in. So basically, Still Can't Dress Myself was there. It's mostly like, I mean, I love having a moment. So it's always in mind when I like start writing stuff. But oh my god, 1 second. I literally can't hear the sound of myself wheezing. So
on some vape shit. I can blow O's with that. No. Yeah, I love like a yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's always in mind when I'm writing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But that's so interesting to me too, because it's like songs like the new one and also like Head and like a bunch of other songs. I feel like Suburbia's kind of like this too. It's like the vocals are like super present in the mix always. Like it always sounds like you, but it's like the production that surrounds it is always so different and like so all encompassing. And that's like really sick to me, how like you're able to make songs feel like you through and through, just like vocally, and because your stuff's so present in the mix as well, but then like the production is so huge all the time, you know?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love pop music, so I love like an upfront vocal. I love like the vocal is the point, but it's not the whole point, obviously. I don't know, I love a loud vocal. Yeah. And like vocal arrangement stuff too.
Do you feel like that kind, because you like grew up like doing vocal stuff, right? Like that, I think I remember you saying that, right?
Yeah, I did choir. I just a bunch of choir. And I love choir.
Did you like first fall in love with like more traditional style pop music, or like what was the music that kind of made you realize that you wanted to make music? Like what do you find yourself pulling from the most?
I think, well, like, I mean, when I was a kid, I was just like, I want to be famous. I love attention. And then my grandma was like, you're a good singer. And I was like, okay, I'm going to sing forever. But I like, when I was in middle school, I like started listening to Paramore and like just fucking was so obsessed with Hayley Williams and like was kind of like, oh, I want to be like a rock star. Like I want to be in a band. Yeah. And then I mean I've never like gotten the opportunity to like write with a band or be like make the music with a band, but that was kind of where it started, where I was like, I just want to be Hayley Williams. Yeah. Yeah. That
makes sense. I feel like that's like a name that comes up a lot when I ask that question. I feel like
because she's fucking awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, how old are you?
I'm 23.
So I guess I'm 22. So I guess what year was Riot?
I don't know.
Like 2001 or 2 or 3 or something like that.
Young.
That's crazy. I had my Paramore moment like super late, I feel like.
Really?
Like I got into them like 2 years ago.
Whoa.
But like I went down a rabbit hole.
Damn.
Yeah.
They're so good.
Did you, when you first started performing, did you play with a band, or have you always played with a band, or was that like a newer thing you started doing more recently?
Yeah, so the first time I played like my own music, I mean at first it was just like me and a guitar like in fucking coffee shops and restaurants, but the first time, like when I moved here and the first time I played a show like as Devon again was with a band.
Gotcha.
Oh my god. So yeah.
Did it feel different? And also, like, is it hard to I would imagine it'd be kind of hard to translate some of your stuff to like a band setting, just because it's so like produced out.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the EP is like was really, I don't know, like Suburbia is just like a live bass line. Like a lot of it is like intentionally like there's stuff that will carry through live, and most of the time when I play live there's also tracks because of the weird production stuff. So, but it's still just like, it's so fun to, the parts that can work with live instruments are so much more fun to do with live instruments. Like it's just, oh my god, I like never want to play not with a band. Yeah,
well, it's just like a totally different energy, I feel like. Also, I would imagine like being on stage alone would be very like a lot harder than being up there with a band.
For sure.
When you were touring with a band?
So I had a drummer on tour, and I was like playing guitar on some stuff, which like worked pretty well. Like if in a perfect world it would have been like a full band, but that's expensive. And
for sure.
Like hard. And again, like none of the music was written with a band. Like there's not a band, like a set band behind it. Yeah. But so just toured with a drummer, which like translated pretty well, just because like the energy is like all in the drums. Yeah. So. Yeah. That's
like a really cool concept. I feel like when people are like creating, like it's interesting. I think there's a lot of musicians that come to mind that I've met, but also ones I'm just fans of, that like they have a very, very set band that like they tour plus they record with, and like the way that translates and the cohesion I think is so cool sometimes. And you can hear it, you know?
Yeah.
Are you somebody that like records with a lot of people in the room? Because and how much of your stuff are you producing? Like, are you like usually writing stuff and then bringing it to a different producer, or are you producing a lot of it out yourself?
It depends. It's like it really depends. Most of the like anything that I start myself, or anything that I like am involved like starting producing myself, it always like I'm taking it to his name's John Buscema, and he did Head, he did Silk and Dress Myself. That is normally, if I'm starting production on my own, it goes to him, and then it's like elevated a million times because I'm nowhere near as good as him. So it's, and normally like writing will start with me. Sometimes it starts in the room with John, but it's normally just like John and I either bringing something or starting with him. Yeah. But yeah.
Having that's so cool. I feel like a lot of songwriters have like that one creative confidant, you know?
Yeah. I think at first I didn't realize how important it was, because I think there's a lot of, when I was starting, like I think that like the best way and like the longest lasting way and the coolest way to create music is like to do it with a band, or to do it with like a consistent collaborator. And I think I kind of started doing it backwards. Like I started making music, or like making fully like produced out songs in a room with like a 30-year-old man. Like that's how it started for me. Interesting. And I think that at the time I was starting, there were a lot of, and there still are, like a lot of other like pop girlies who worked in that way, where it's like, I'm a songwriter, I'm coming to this producer to like produce out my song. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of the pop girlies who work with a lot of different producers. And so I kind of thought that was like how things worked, but then like realized pretty shortly that like I have a lot of ideas production wise, and a lot of things that are like not, like, I don't know, I feel like I'm pretty creative in terms of like song structure and just like the sonic world, and like going around to a bunch of different people makes that harder. If I can't completely execute it myself, trying to explain it to someone who doesn't live in the world with me is really hard. And I think, I just think it's so, like, it's kind of like, for someone like me, it's like a must to have like that one person or that couple people to actually make it like what I want it to be.
Well, because I feel like if you were, because like the idea even of like, I mean, singles, I totally agree with that, but even with an album, even more so, I feel like producing an album with like, you know, let's say you start one half with like somebody, and then, you know, for the middle part you go to somebody else, and the end go to somebody else. Like, it's just not gonna have the same flair, cohesion that it would if it was like one person bouncing ideas off of each other, you know? And also just like, I feel like there's a really, really clear distinction between like growing with somebody creatively, like the more time you work with them, you know? Like, I feel like, I don't know, there's been people who like, I've like started working with just on a creative level that like we didn't click at all, but then like give it like time, and you know, as long as you don't force it, I think it's like eventually like things fall into place and they just keep getting better and better and better, you know.
That's super true.
Did you have like a lot of experiences before like you found John with other producers that you don't think like they clicked as well? Like was it hard to find one that you clicked with like really, really well?
Yeah, I mean with Cameron, who did the whole EP, we clicked really well like pretty immediately. And then after the EP, and sort of in the middle of the EP, I was like working with, so I signed to somewhere for like publishing, and when I signed as like a songwriter / artist. So part of signing was like, okay, we're gonna, you know, and also before working with Cameron, like it was like, we're gonna put you in all of these random rooms with random people.
Yeah.
And they're all,
to do songwriting?
Yeah, songwriting, and like for myself or for other people or for pitch or like for sync or whatever. And I think that there's a lot of songwriters and a lot of artists who first move here and do that for like a long time, just like the rounds, like the sessioning, and it's really confusing like on the artist side, because everyone has different like inclinations naturally, and you're gonna see like someone's gonna do something, you're gonna be like, oh, that's cool, but like it's not me and I don't know why, like, or I don't know you well enough. Like it just does take time to like cultivate that relationship, and it's interesting to work with someone once and be like, this isn't it. And sometimes I'm like, I don't know why it wasn't, but there's like so many sessions that I had where like I've never spoken to that person again. It just didn't click.
And you can feel it so instantly, I feel like.
Totally.
And it's interesting too, because like in those situations where like I've worked with somebody and then like it's been like one of those one and done ones, it's just like a lot of the time like it's weird because they're so kind and cool and like sweet, and like I'm like, this is a great person that I would love to like hang out with, but just like
why isn't this
like why doesn't it click, you know? But I don't know, I think there are like creative brains that match, like even like not only just like on an idea basis, but on like a role basis, I think as well too. Like I think there are some like songwriters that are meant to be songwriters, and then I think there's some like producers that are meant to be producers. I think there's some artists who are meant to have artist projects. Like there's just certain qualities amongst people that I think sometimes like you can't unwrite, and it's just like who you are, you know, to a certain level. And I also feel like, I don't know, do you think it's better to like embrace those things or try to do it all? Like, because I think that can be like, I don't know, like I wouldn't know what advice to give an artist in that situation.
I think it's totally, you just have to embrace like what you're good at and what feels good naturally. Because I think as much as I, like for example, like for me with production, it's like, oh, like I really want to be better at this thing, and like I have gotten better at it slowly, but that's not where I'm like the most inspired, or like what makes me like
why you started.
Yeah, like I would rather someone else sort of like help me, someone who is far more capable than I, like help me like pull out an idea and like execute an idea, than spend the time like staring at a screen trying to figure it out, which just makes the process faster and easier for me and for that person. Like I think you should just like whatever makes you like I'm good at this, like I can do this thing, like that's the feeling you should do. That's so interesting. I had two very specific thoughts when you said that, because that's super interesting to me, because like your music, like it feels so production heavy. I mean, I was telling him before, I'm sorry, tell me if I'm like glazing you too hard, but like but I think like your music is just like, it's so interesting because it's like you feel like such a songwriter, and like I could see all your songs working acoustically, but then like they're so produced out and like so much. So it's interesting that like the production isn't like an element that like, you know, kind of makes you go, because I would think it would be. But I also see it in the lyrics. Like what part of the song makes you like go, like when you were writing a song? What's like the moment where you're like, damn, that was it? Well, it's definitely a mix of both. It's like the production is definitely like, it's, so I guess it is like maybe the most exciting part for me, but it would be less exciting if I was like, there's so many things where I'm like, okay, like I like will sing an idea, or like I want it to sound like this, and like
gotcha.
And it's so much easier for me to say that and have it like interpreted by John, who like we have really similar taste. He's like so amazing. Like to have an idea and have it be executed by someone else for me is so much easier than figuring out how to do it myself and getting caught in the like, oh my god, I'm bad at this, like oh my god, fuck but having me like, what if we did this, and he can just be like and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's
I'm hacking into the mainframe.
and like he's like, are you sure you want to try that? I'm like, yeah. And then he's like, okay. Whereas if I wanted to try it, I would be like, okay, so I guess okay, 1 second, and then I'm like, fuck, I hate this.
YouTube, yeah, YouTube on the second monitor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally. I'm like, which is also fun, but when I do like produce stuff myself, it's completely different, because it's not completely different, but it is just not as good, because I like, there's more traps to get into of like, I'm bad at this, I shouldn't try this, I don't know how to do this. Whereas like with someone else who's really good at it, I can be like, can we try this? And he's like, yeah. I don't know. It's
almost like limiting the amount of like hurdles you have to jump over to like get to the root of the idea, right? Because that's like what that's what any creative like is, whatever they're making, that's like what they're really trying to do, right? It's like there's an idea, they want to execute it, they're trying to get to that. Like I think people get too caught up in the idea of like being like the one person show and like making sure they have to like be the person who's I don't know, like I'm honestly really bad about this. Like I feel like I'm projecting here. Like it's really hard to like kill your darling sometimes and like let go of like the egoism of being the active force in like every single part of the creativity. But there's literally, it's like the only way to find success, I think, at a certain point.
Well, and I think doing everything yourself does happen. Like there are people who do that, and it's fucking awesome.
For sure.
And like it's so, I like will forever be like so in awe by those people, and I think it's so cool. I think I just know. I just like know what I'm good at, and I know what I'm not gonna execute in the way that I want it to be done.
Yeah, I mean, staring at like I think about this too. It's like on like, I mean, obviously like when I say production, like my mind goes to like video editing, because that's like what I do. It's very different, but it's like I remember like before I could like really like I was very fluent in Premiere, and staring at it like looked like a foreign language to me. And then I remember like the moment too when like I call it like when the software stops controlling you and you start controlling the software.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's like the moment when like you are like you know how to do enough things to where like you can have an idea and you can just go do it.
Yeah.
And it's like that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's like what's different about that versus the prior thing. It's like it kind of dilutes the idea sometimes, because like, you know, if point A is you have the idea, and then point C is you getting there, point B is either gonna, you know, it's gonna be everything else. So it's like point B can take forever if like you're trying to navigate it, like, and figure out like the boring intricacies of it. But it's like if point B is just like you doing the thing that you know how to do to like get to point C, I think the idea remains a lot truer to the way that you felt when you had it, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, and also if point B is the like isn't true to like the easiest thing or the whatever, it is still cool like if you are in point B and you're like, what the fuck is going on, and you work through it. Yeah. And that is like insanely fulfilling and really 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 cool, but it just does take longer. I'm like, I'm busy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You produce it.
I know what you're talking about though. I was sitting at the I helped Zayd on a video it was like on Monday, I think. And we were just hanging after, and he just like threw it on his laptop in Premiere and was like doing some little edits. And there was a moment that this like really stuck with me. It's funny you brought this up, but there was like a moment where he noticed that like the camera was like the tripod was like tapped like so faintly, and it moved like maybe you kind of would have to focus to like realize that it moved, but like he saw it, and that was enough. Awesome. And he was like staring at this, trying to fix this problem for probably an hour. And like, I was sitting at the table with him, and he probably took like an hour and a half to fix the problem. But like the way he kept saying it stuck with me. He kept saying like, this is like a puzzle, I just gotta figure out the puzzle. And I was like, to me that's like how you gotta think about creativity, because if like you let like the challenge frustrate you, it's just not fun anymore. Right. Like it just sucks at that point, you know? Yeah. It's like everything is just like kind of like a big puzzle, and it's like putting all the pieces together should be something that's fun. It should feel like a game. Yeah. But it's like it's so easy to get wrapped up in like the frustration if you can't figure out how to do something, you know? For sure.
And I think, I mean, like in the songwriting part of it, like that's so puzzle, and it's in any creative thing that you're trying to solve, there's going to be a point of frustration and like contention. Like you're going to be like, what am I looking at? And I think that is normal. But if the like the overarching feeling should be like puzzle. This is a fun puzzle.
Yeah.
Game.
That that phrase specifically, it stuck with me. So I've been thinking about it all week. I'm
awesome.
like, it's all just like a big puzzle, you know?
It is.
So if you're kind of like outsourcing most of the production stuff, is the songwriting for you, like, is the puzzle that excites you the songwriting?
Yeah.
Like when you have, is it like having that idea, that concept, and then figuring out the way to best express it?
Yeah. It's just like, I mean, just the getting from point A to point B. Like the whole thing is a puzzle. Like it's like, yeah, it's like sitting in the room and a lot of times like the song, you know, like something like a decision that John like tentatively makes production wise will like influence the songwriting, or like the songwriting will influence the production, like because it's like it's normally like I bring in like a start of a song, like it's not a full song most of the time, and so it'll be like a verse and a chorus or something, and then we're just like kind of bouncing off each other, and that's really fun.
I think that's so valuable too, to like have somebody that like, excuse me, like knows like what you're trying to say well enough to where like they are like aware of your story enough to even like reflect on like previous points in previous songs, you know?
Yeah.
And they could be like, oh, like this song we did this, like maybe we can do that, or you know, we can change it. But it's like having that, it's kind of like not restarting every single time, you know, like returning to like a saved point.
Oh my god, yeah, the restarting is crazy. It's hard.
I couldn't imagine doing that. I feel like that'd be so much more difficult. So, but that's really cool to me. So when you're kind of like songwriting and you're trying to like solve that puzzle and get to that point, do you usually like have an aha moment when you get to like, is there a certain point in the song where like, oh, like I think I have like the skeleton of it? Because I was and also like I'm interested to hear like where do those ideas usually come? I remember like I was talking on TikTok before this just to write some questions down, and there was like I found the Suburbia one that like blew up when like you first put out Suburbia, and you were talking about how it was just like a shower thought. Like where are those ideas usually coming from? Are they like experience based, or like, and then you kind of run to try to like write something down once you get them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Suburbia was like, I feel like the best, kind of like what you're saying, like, I don't know, I feel like the best ideas just happen when you're just like, the doors are like wide open, you're not inside of a container, you're just like, I exist and I have thoughts, and like, here's this thing that rhymes. Like Suburbia was just like, I don't even know what the fuck started it, but it's just like letting the lid be off and just like exploring and then going from there. Like I feel like the moment that I'm like, I'm gonna write about this, it just doesn't work. It's like it's just like something has to make sense, something has to like some little thing, just like I don't know, I don't even know how to, I like cannot, some songwriters can be like, here's the topic, go. Like I cannot fucking do that at all.
Oh, I feel like I don't want to like hate on anybody who does do that, but like I feel like that's not really how I mean, everyone's different, you know. Everyone's different, but the process to me, it doesn't quite feel like that's how it's supposed to work. I feel like then you're like manufacturing something that you may or may not actually subconsciously care about. Yeah. But like maybe you're trying to care about it because you want to write a song about it. Whereas like, I don't know, I've always felt like, I mean, whenever I'm most inspired to create personally, like it's like when I feel an overwhelming emotion about something, be it negative, positive, whatever, or somewhere in the middle, but it's like that overwhelming emotion is so strong that like when it's inside me, it just doesn't feel like correct until I like write it down or I make something about it. I have a friend named Richard, and he said like he always talks about this idea of the creative muses, and he always talks about this idea of like he said something that really, really stuck to me that kind of related to this, where he was like, when you have a bunch of like creative ideas in your head, right, they just kind of like bounce around, like kind of like, you know, that Windows icon that always like doesn't touch the corner of the screen, like when the save screen or whatever, they're kind of like that, like they just bounce around, they never like perfectly fit in anything. But then when you kind of write them down, you give them context, because like it's almost like they're just like, there's no order, they're just going everywhere. But then when you write them down, you can take them out one by one and kind of put them in order and put them in place. I think about that all the time. That's so real. Yeah. It's so much like, and it's also, I feel like it's the little, like, sometimes you pull out one, you're like, oh, I didn't know this was going to fit here. And you're like, oh, Yeah.
Oh, okay. Crazy. So it's turning into this. Like, it's turning into this thing that I I don't know. Just like watching it be born into something that it didn't start as. It's it's just crazy.
That's like an interesting, yeah. And I feel like that happens, like that process happens not only as like a writer, but also as a listener.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a lot of songs that like I heard
You're like,
and they meant one thing to me.
Yeah.
And then like over the years, like they've fully switched meanings, you know?
That's super true. I fucking love that.
Yeah,
I
right?
love when that happens.
I also feel like there's, like, do you have songs that like I don't know if you think about this, but like, do you have any songs where they're like, you remember exactly where you were, like when you heard them? I have so many songs like that.
And also songs like that where I can remember, there's, like, I think it's a James Blake song. It's called "I Need a Forest Fire," fire, or "We Need a Forest Fire." I need a forest fire, something like that. But I remember exactly where I was when I heard it, and then I remember exactly where I was when I heard it multiple years later, and like actually heard the words and was like, what the fuck? Like, this song meant so much to me when I first heard it, and I didn't even know what it was talking about. And oh my god, like, that is so cool. Like, living and experiencing things that like changed the meaning of shit.
That's something that's almost fun. Like hard to verbalize. Like that's like one of the crazy parts about music. Like, that is when it gets so complicated that it's difficult to verbalize, you know?
Yeah.
I have an experience like that too. My roommate Monet has a song called Lone Star, and before I ever knew him, I like his music, and there's a lyric that what the lyric is, it's I don't know, or the lyric is I'm not who I want to be, I'm not who I want to be. I thought the lyric was I'm not who I want to be, but I'm who I want to be, which entirely changes the meaning of it.
Yeah.
And I loved that lyric that wasn't even the lyric, but then it took on an entirely new meaning, like when I learned the actual lyric. Because kind of how I perceived it was like the idea of like, I'm not who I want to be like yet, but I can see that person. Like, I can see myself actively like, attempting to be that human being every single day.
Yeah.
And that lyric meant so much to me, and I didn't even know it wasn't the lyric.
Because it's like, that's what your brain wanted to hear. Your brain like wanted that, so that's what it chose. Which is so sick.
Isn't that, that's so crazy.
You got what you needed from it.
Yeah.
Which is so cool.
How did that James Blake song like change meaning for you?
It was just like, I just didn't understand that, like, I just thought it was so beautiful. It's like, we need a forest fire, which is just like, we need everything to burn so that everything else so that more things can grow. And I like didn't hear that at all. And then when I heard it years later, I was like, I need that. like, oh my god,
that's me, James.
That's me, James. Shorty, just like me, for real. I was like, I know what you're talking about. That is so beautiful. That's such a beautiful metaphor. You bad bitch. I didn't even clock that.
Yeah. No, I feel that. There's definitely songs I think I have like that too. They just like you don't act. Also, like, this is another thing that's kind of trippy about this. Do you have any songs that like you heard when you were like younger, or maybe like, you know, maybe not younger, but just like, you know, at one time, and then you live a lot of life until the next time you hear that song, and next time you hear it, it means something entirely different because of the lived experiences that you've had.
Yeah.
Like that's so trippy to me.
Yeah. Or, oh my god, even just like one of my favorite things is like listening to songs and not, okay, there's this song called Cherry by Fletcher and Haley Kiyoko. Okay. And it's just like a gay pop song. And I remember like I like loved it for months, and I like just never listened to the words, and I don't know why that shit happened, but then like listened to it the other day, and it's like the lyric is like, I want you on top of me like cherry. Like, I didn't understand
the cherry on top.
I did not understand, and I just didn't ever hear it, and then I heard it and I was like, this is the best song in the world. But it's so funny because I feel like I listen so intentionally, and I'm like, why?
Interesting.
Why sometimes do I like completely miss it?
Yeah.
And when it's right there, like there's not even a reach. Like, that one is so blatant, and I just like completely missed it.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's fun. I'm like, why at the point in my life when I heard it did I not hear the on top of me like cherry?
That is interesting.
I don't know.
It's so, but like, I don't know. Like I. This is getting real weird and spiritual, but I do feel like there are certain I think there are certain things about music that are so visceral, like on a feeling level, that they aren't like describable.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I think music is like literally magic. Like, I don't know. Maybe I just feel it a lot. Obviously, like I put my whole life into it, but it's like I don't know, music to me is it's like psychedelics and music are just like on par with each other. Like they just feel something that is like almost an indescribable feeling sometimes. Like there's this, I don't know, like I think about the relationship that we have like between our bodies when we listen to music. Like I don't know, because I've talked to some people who don't relate to this, but some do. Like, do you feel music physically? Like, 'cause I feel music super physically.
Bro.
Yeah.
Oh my god, so physically. So like I just like literally like so more often than not am like sobbing at something that I think is beautiful.
Yeah.
Or like something that like like a synth or like just like the timbre of like a certain artist's voice that like will just like I feel it in my stomach, like my shoulders tense up, like that's like people get chills, that's why I mean music is like obviously it's just like I don't know, it's like such a big part of like even just like singing with people, like it's just it is so physical, and it's very like it's so, oh my god, I think that's why it's like I don't know, like music just is that, it is that, oh my god, I don't know.
That shoulder tensing up feeling, that's like Bon Iver for me.
Yeah.
Like whenever I hear Forever Ago, specifically that album, I get this like I'm getting it right now, like this overwhelming anxiety like in my stomach. Yeah. It's like I feel it so physically. Yeah. Yeah, that one. What else? No Surprises by Radiohead makes it feel the same way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. Friendly Fire by Holly Humberstone makes it feel that way. I haven't heard it. Oh, it's a great, yeah, you'd love it. It's a great song. Yeah, she's great.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah, Holly Humberstone, goated. Okay, changing gears a bit. I'm interested to hear about like your experience in school, because I know you graduated, right, and then you like went to school later, right?
Yeah, well, I moved to LA like after high school, and then I was here for a second, and then was like, I'm gonna go to school.
What made you kind of pivot?
I was just like scared, but I also didn't know. So much I'm just feel like I'm underprepared all of the time. I was like I didn't know, like my high school was pretty intense about like college prep and stuff, but it just didn't, like I wanted to go to USC, didn't get in. I mean I did get in, I would not have been able to go, but like
I did the same thing. I applied to schools that I never could have afforded just so I could like be like, oh, will I get in?
Will I get in? And so
do you want me?
Do you want me? I was like USC or like I'll just move to LA. And then so I didn't get into USC, and I think like when I was in high school, my whole like I knew that I wanted to continue in music. I knew that I wanted to like be an artist. I didn't know at all what that looked like. I didn't know at all how to like start that, because in my high school like all of the college prep stuff was like for like classical or like jazz. So in USC was the only like pop program. So then when I moved here, I was just like, I'm scared, I have no direction, like I'm gonna go to school. And the school that I went to, it was like a for-profit school. I did not learn anything. It was like a 6-month program.
Where was it?
It's called Musicians Institute.
Okay.
And I just like literally first of all, if you're gonna go to school for music, don't like unless, I mean, if you want to be an artist and you want to go to school, actually no, nothing is real. Don't go to Musicians Institute. Just kidding. Do whatever you want. I just didn't learn anything, and it was like, and then it was over. Yeah. And then COVID happened, and I went home, and it's just because I mean I think I would have learned stuff if I didn't know like theory stuff from high school. Like it was just a lot of repeating things. Anyway,
that's a big conversation. I just had a really, really long conversation with my girlfriend about this. We were talking about like that, like the idea of like going to music school and like what that means and if it's worth it, and like I don't know, like
it's really complicated.
Yeah, it's very complicated. But I will say that like if you want to like I think if you want to like pursue an artist project or like be an artist or like just make music that is like in some way, shape, or form your goal is to reach people, I don't think you have to go to music school. And I think like it can help you, but you can also do a lot of the things that you need to do on that level for free or outsourced in a way. It just depends what you want to do. Like I think if you want to be a composer, you want to like, you know, be like a teacher, then obviously it makes sense. But it's yeah, I don't know. Like I think it's very different because like I feel like there's less. Actually, I'd be interested to like know if this is true or not. I wonder like how many people go to like music school that want to be like producers versus like artist people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I wonder if, and then I also wonder, like, does that even make sense? Like going to school for production.
I think, well, okay, they're like, I recently have been in my, oh my god, I should have gone to real college bag. Only because, so, after tour, I like met a bunch of people who went to, or at NYU for production. Like,
there's so many of them.
There's so many of them.
Yeah.
And I think, and I heard this all throughout high school and before, like, moving here, that like the biggest thing that you get from music school is like the people and the connections. And I think that is true not only in like a career like furthering sense, but also like the sense of like community and belonging. I think
that's correct. I literally was having a conversation about this yesterday. Yeah
It's like now being 23 and like meeting all these people from NYU and seeing them just in this like community of people who are really excited and really fucking good too, like that to me, I'm like, that's worth it. Like if you go somewhere to be around like-minded people and also grow and like get access to all of these resources, then yes. I guess my version of it, I was like, that was not worth it. Like I did not gain anything from that. But I think, I don't know, I feel like school is so like so important, literally just for the like community part of it.
Yeah.
And I used to like, I remember all of my friends who went to school being like, you're skipping like these like 4 years of your life, whatever, like you just entered the world into a place that we're gonna enter it like 4 years down the line.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's cool, like I'm just gonna like work really hard before you guys have to. But now like they're graduating, I'm like, oh wait, they were set up with all of these things.
I feel the same way. Yeah.
Like I didn't actually realize, and they also don't realize, I don't think, because they were in it. Like they just have all of these things underneath them now that I feel like I didn't get. So in that sense, I'm like, if you want to be like a happy person, no, I'm just like, I think school can be really, really important for that like community and setting you up. Yeah. But I also, for being an artist, I think that being an artist and being like a big artist, which I'm not, obviously, I think that is like, you can't like really, like, that is so, you can do that without school, you can do that how, like, that happens.
There's a million ways to do it.
So many people.
I hate when people act like there's like that is one track, like there's one way to be an artist, or like there's one way to be anything, or like there's one way to like I fucking hate people who give like absolute advice in the music industry. I think it's so stupid.
Well, because bitches hate nuance. Like no one wants to hear that there's not an answer. Like because there just isn't though. Like there's no right way to do literally any of it.
Yeah. Especially this. Yeah. Like, there's, like, a million ways to do this. Like, there's, like, dude, I bet if you were to, like, compare and contrast the way, like, whoever, you know, all the artists that are on the Billboard Hot 100 right now, like, the way in which they found success, I would bet that, like, there are very common variables, right? I'd bet, like, a lot of them grew up with money. I bet a lot of them, you know, like, were... Maybe they had some kind of training at some point. You know, a lot of them, maybe they grew up in a certain part of the world or whatever. But, like... I don't like it outside of things like that, like tangible variables. Like I bet all the paths are so vastly different, you know? Yeah, but I feel that. I think it just depends what you want to do. Like it's hyper individualized, I feel like, you know? But I do see what you're saying about the community thing. I think I don't know. I think like because I did the same thing. I went to a year and a half community college and I dropped out, and then I moved here, so kind of similar. But like. I think, like, I hated school, and I'm happy that, like, I'm not doing, like, the work that I was doing, because it wasn't bringing me any fulfillment. Like, I feel like I was just, like, running a race where, like, the finish wasn't going to be satisfying. Yeah. And, like, I could have, you know, so I'm happy that I didn't finish, but simultaneously, I totally see what you mean with the community thing. And I had this thought recently where I was kind of thinking, like, why do I think that like I know better than like the track that like has been proposed for kids for like a very, very, very long time? But I don't think I know better than it. I think it's weird that it's the only thing that's like presented to us very often. Especially it sounds like the high school you went to was like very like college prep kid type thing?
Yeah.
Is that like, yeah, I mean,
yeah, it was more just like I was like a choir kid, so all of my peers were like, I'm going to school for musical theater, and that is really competitive, and it's really intense, and it's very like academically also it's really intense. Like all the theater kids are really fucking good at school.
Yeah.
And so it was just like everyone was like, I'm going here, or like one of my best friends like went to school for opera, like just like really smart. I was just surrounded by really academically smart people, so it was like we're all going to college is the answer. Yeah. I don't know,
there's like a million ways to do everything, but we're kind of only presented one.
Yeah.
I relate to what you were saying with like having like peers that kind of like are doing like the one thing and then you're like not. That was definitely weird for me as well. I feel like I was like, at least like in my friend group, I feel like I was kind of one of the other ones that wasn't gonna like go to a UC or like, you know, go to a CSU or like, you know, go off to college or whatever. And there were like certain people who like, most of my friends were super cool about it, but there were certain people who were just like that like they kind of give you like the oh, you're going to community college, that's awesome, you're gonna save so much money. You know what I mean? It's like you're gonna save so much money. It's like okay, just say it. Yeah. It's so great that you're figuring it out still. It's like, bro, what?
You must be so free.
Yeah. It was like, that was so weird to me.
Yeah.
I don't know, because the community college thing, it made so much sense to me, because I was like, I want to start, because I don't know, because I knew I wanted to do like Above the Bridge then, but like, I didn't know how, I didn't know what I wanted to look like. I mean, I've been doing it for 3 years, but it was so different, and I didn't know like how I wanted to make money with it or whatever, but like, it was so like silly to me, the idea of like shelling out a bunch of money to go like just start a business where I'm gonna lose more money.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so weird.
It's so complicated.
Yeah, it's super individualized, weird. Where was the school that you were going to?
It was on Hollywood Boulevard. It's called Musicians Institute.
So it was in LA?
Yeah, it's right next to the Scientology building.
Whoa, yeah. Conspiracy. That's crazy.
And I'm like, I feel bad for like talking bad about it because it's just my experience in it.
Yeah.
But I'm also just like why? I'm like, why did I? What?
Like, why did I do that? Yeah.
But like, why did I do anything? Like, why did I move here? And then I'm like, oh, why? Okay.
What was the what was the community living situation like you were living in? Like, what was that? I remember you told me about that when you first met, like very briefly. But
yeah, I moved in. It was like a communal living for like. It was like for artists, but you didn't like really have to be an artist. You just have to. In the application, it's like. What do you do? And I was like, I sing.
I think it was like,
can I bring my guitar?
Ready to jam.
And you live in like boxes in the wall. I don't know. Have you ever seen like I think it's in Japanese airports. They have like sleeping pods. It's like a box. It's like a cubby.
Maybe.
Okay.
I feel like I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's literally it's like a box in the wall. You're like sleeping in a cubby, and there's like 6 people in a room. Yeah, I lived there, and I lived there for like 7 months or something, which was a long time, I think.
Was it a good experience?
I don't think it was bad. I think I was right out of high school, and a lot of people who lived there were like in their 20s, and I think I was like, this is what being 20 is gonna look like for me, which I mean isn't true now.
Yeah.
But I think that it was just like a weird. Like I met a lot of different people, and a lot of like, I don't know. It was weird. It's like a really weird introduction to like adult life, I think. And I just remember being really like jealous of my friends in dorms. I was like, I want to be around people my age, and I want a dining hall. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, who was in my house?
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. And it's like a really weird and sometimes isolating experience.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like it's so weird because like I don't want to like be upset about it because like it's worked out really good and it's like it's what I wanted to do. But there's like a certain lack of normalcy to it that almost doesn't ever like go away, you know?
Yeah. I think for me it was like it's like I was so headstrong on the like I'm gonna do like I know that this is gonna be hard and feel weird, but like I'm choosing like a different path than like the people around me. So I was like, this is gonna payoff. Like, I'm doing this for something. And I still think that's true. But I completely agree with there's still, like, I still have this, like, I feel like I have, like, a hole of, like, of the, like, of, like, what does that, like, experience feel like? Which is an experience, like, the 4-year, like, the college, whatever, all of that, in and of itself, isn't even necessarily, like, a very accessible experience. But I feel like I just, like, know a lot of people who got it. And so I, like, all of my closest friends, I'm like...
Yeah.
Like, I love your college friends. Like, I love that you all learned together in the same place. Like, I'm fucking obsessed with that.
Yeah, I get it. Because it's... I was talking to McLean about this, and he told me this, and it was interesting. We were talking about this, and he was saying, like... I was like, yeah, like, I just kind of... Like, I was just like... I told him, I was like, I just wonder, like, what it would have been like, you know? And he's like... Yeah, I can tell you that, like, what you're doing right now and what you would have been doing in college probably feels pretty similar, but you feel like that because you'll never know. Yeah. And I was like, that's exactly it. It's like, I don't know. It's almost like skipping it's kind of like skipping a point in development that so many people do, you know? Yeah. I guess not even so many. I guess, like, I just grew up in a suburb, and, like, you know, a lot of people there do it. So
right, exactly.
It's like you're kind of skipping that point. There's like a big thing you can't relate to people your age about. Yeah. And it's not like a lost feeling, because, like, I don't want to do it, but it's like a confused thing, especially because, like, I graduated, like, it's like, you know what I mean? But it's like, it's also weird because I graduated during the pandemic, which was like really. Are you 2020 or 2019?
Well, 2019 for high school, but then college 2020, like right when it started.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that was so strange because, like, I don't know, it's like one day it was gonna be spring break, and then just never went back.
Bro, that's so crazy.
Yeah, so it was like, that was really weird. So it was like there was no moment, and then, like, I didn't finish community college, so it's like there was just no moment of finality. Like, there was not like a, like, I think with
next chapter.
Yeah, exactly. Like, when you have, like, the high school college thing, you get so much, like, finality. Like, this is done, I'm now doing this, and then this is done, so I'm now going to get an internship, I'm gonna go do this or whatever. And I never wanted that path, but I understand why it's a thing. Like, you know?
Yeah, it's just so, it just is, it's, like, very affirming, and that, like, you're moving forward, like, I think with very minimal, like, I feel like there's very minimal, like, landmarks outside of school. And I think people, when they graduate, struggle with that, where it's like, okay, what now? Yeah. Like, what's going on? And I feel like I've been the what's going on since high school.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Yeah. And there's, like, no certainty to it either.
For sure.
Like, there's never any, I guess there's no certainty in, like, being an artist of any kind, really.
Yeah, that's true.
Your path seems like super, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but almost like you kind of took, like, a bit of a leap of faith and just moved out. Did you know anybody at all when you moved out here, really?
No, which is why I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how? Like, no. I had no idea what I was doing. And it feels like it was kind of like a miracle that I ended up working with producers and whatever, because it was like, I'm gonna do everything alone. And I think it would have taken so much longer to even get something like being able to go on tour or, like, whatever. Like, oh my god, yeah, like, I had no idea what was happening. I had no plan. I was just like, I'm gonna move here and make music. I didn't know what, like, a label meant. I didn't know what, like, a manager, I didn't know any of those things. Yeah. So
the fact that it, like, kind of has worked out, does that give you, does that make you want to take more leaps of faith, or does that make you feel like, damn, I got the one?
It's kind of like a damn, I got the one. It's
really?
Like, it's scary. I think that, like, I think it's weird to be, like, when you're 18, 19, you don't know what the fuck is going on at all. Yeah. And you're like, I don't know what money means. You're like, I'm going to move and I'm going to use my savings, all of it, because I'm 19 and I will use all of it.
That's what I did, yeah.
Yeah. And now it's like, okay, I have to keep something in my, like, I have to try and set myself up now. Like, now I'm more responsible than I've ever been, so now it's scarier. Now there feels like there's more to lose. Yeah. Whereas, like, at 19, it was like, I'm a child. And, like, everything is possible. Interesting. And now it's like, not that I have, like, a lot to lose, but I have more than I ever have because I'm 23 now. Yeah. And, like, it's just like now the leaps of faith carry more weight. And
wow.
And I think, and when I like zoom out, I'm like, no, no, they don't. Like, you just have to keep trying shit, because that's the only reason why I was able to like release things or go on tour or do any of that is just like because I didn't know what I was doing, and I was just like trying shit. And I think realistically, like there are like smart things to do, but they're like you don't actually know what is going on, especially like in the world of music. No one knows, managers, like labels, no one actually knows what's going on.
No, everyone
is just kind of like trying shit. And the more scared you get to like try shit because you think you know the rules, like the worse that your art gets. And like,
wow,
the less excited you are and the less excited the people around you are, because you're not like, you have to like, I don't know. So all of that is to say, like, it's scarier, but I'm so aware of like how necessary it is to just like take risks. It will always be. But
yeah.
And I go in and out of phases of being like, okay, I'm just gonna work and save money, and then I'm like, I'm gonna quit my job, and I'm gonna like, it just fluctuates.
Yeah,
you know.
Isn't that like a weird thought that like all these people who we think have it figured out just fuck it, they just don't, dude. It's like there's no way to figure this out. It doesn't happen. Like it's like people, there's no like, it's not a math equation. Like you can't just like figure out like, how do I be like, no one knows how to be a successful artist.
Right.
It doesn't. There's a million ways to do it.
Yeah.
You know, there's infinite ways to do it.
Yeah. And the people who know for them.
Yes.
Like, they know what I don't know. I'm like, there just isn't an answer.
Yeah. It's almost why I think like managers sometimes are the people who are just the best listeners, and the best people who are like you're like that one person in your corner that's just there all the time.
Yeah.
And also the ones acting, don't act like they know. I think acting like is kind of manipulative, to be honest with you, because you don't. And I think this is probably a more A&R thing than it is like manager thing. But it's like, I don't really think many A&Rs, period, no. But if there's some people who I know don't know, it's the majors. They just fail. Like the majors are failing. They're 90% of their stuff is misses.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, so I don't know. Like I hate that. It's very arrogant to act like you just like know this, and like you can know the ins and outs of the industry, right? But it's like you don't know who's like, you can't look into a crystal ball and tell me who's gonna win and who's not.
Yeah.
Because winning in the eyes of just like monetarily, successfully, it's all just attention, and attention is so fickle. And
for sure.
I to wrap back what you were saying about like that leap of faith, I'm sure that I mean that scares me. It's like knowing that like even the small amount of people that care about Above the Bridge like could be gone tomorrow, and that's really scary,
It's so scary.
Yeah,
it's so scary. And but it's even funny like hearing you like it. I'm like, fuck, that's such an unproductive thought. Like,
yeah, for sure.
But it's a really loud one, I think.
Yeah.
Like but it really is like I don't know, I've just like heard so many times so many artists just like it's preach about like having to believe in yourself, like it's like, but like you kind of just have to be. I almost think of it as like delusion, because I'm like, it's crazy 100%. To like decide that you're gonna like be famous or be really rich, or like not even be really rich but like succeed. I'm like, that feels crazy. Like, what grounds do I really have to believe that this is gonna happen? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like you kind of just have to like it's so like I'm literally, the thing that is keeping me going constantly is this idea of what could happen, which is just perpetuates like suffering all of the time.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, that's what artists go through.
Yeah.
It's like, I have this thing to share, and I'm gonna figure out how to share it, regardless of what that costs me in terms of like my health and my life.
Yeah.
Which I don't know.
I feel that like I think it's also really easy as an artist to romanticize the bad parts of your life. It's sometimes a lot more impactful to write about the shitty stuff than the good stuff. So it's like, I could see somebody falling victim to like not chasing the bad stuff, but like sitting in it for a bit too long, maybe, because like
that's true.
like I don't think anybody's like going out there being like, let me like get in a bad relationship so I can write a song about it. But maybe when they get out of the bad relationship, they're like, let me not
I can
focus on moving on, let me write about it for a little bit. But also maybe that helps,
yeah.
Do you ever like this is the interesting Devon question, because I feel like your lyrics are so personal. Do you ever feel difficult, like not feel difficult, but is it ever difficult to like be super forthright and honest in your writing? And like, do you ever feel like you're being too honest, and how do you balance that? And is that difficult to share certain parts of yourself, and how much is oversharing?
I think the most difficult part about it is like writing about, when you're writing about a relationship or you're whatever, like there are other people involved. Yeah. Like that's, which I'm like, that's crazy that I just make this and I know that it is like someone is going to hear it and it's going to affect them. Like that really sucks. Like that part feels really bad. But then I'm like, this is just like what, like I don't really, I don't know, in terms of like what's too much sharing. I'm like, there are just artists who say absurd shit. I'm like, you just have to say what you feel like you should say. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I think the only part where it becomes complicated is like writing something and it's about someone or loosely about someone, and I don't know, and then being like, they're gonna hear it, and I'm gonna promote it, like I'm gonna put it on fucking TikTok, and I'm like, this is like such a deeply like emotional thing,
part of me,
and I'm reliving it every time I'm singing it or sharing it, or like any like, and so is this other person, like that. That's the part that's like really bad. That's
what I've never resonated with the thing, and I'm curious if you resonate with this or not. Like, never resonated with people saying that being an artist is selfish. I don't think it is. I think a true artist is actually really gracious. I think like being a true artist is sharing the most difficult parts of yourself and like the hardest experiences, and like sharing them with people. And a lot of the time, whether you intend to or not, I think the best art lets people know they're not alone. Yeah. And like the other people feel that way. Yeah. I mean, not that that's the only artistic intention you can have, but it's just like, I think sharing the most difficult and the truest emotions that you have is like fucking gut-wrenching thing to do, and I think it's gracious. So like, I think it's like, it's a kind thing to do, I think it's both. I think it's like, I totally think it's both, because I think like I wouldn't, like when I'm making stuff, I'm not like thinking about how someone's gonna hear it and like relate to it and feel some sort of like catharsis from it, or like connection to it. That's not normally what I'm thinking about. So I feel like I'm like writing it from a selfish point in a way, where it's like, this is for me, because I have to create. I gotta get this thing out of my body. But I think it serves like a very gracious purpose. I think when I listen to other people's music, most other people's music, I'm like, not most other, but artists who I really admire and really respect and really love, I'm like, thank you so much for giving me this. But I think there's a line, because I think there are artists, and I feel like I kind of sometimes feel like I sit in the middle, where it's like, I'm not like, I don't know, like I'm like, there are artists that have like changed my life, and I don't feel like I qualify as like the gracious half of that. I feel like it's like half, because so much of it, like promoting it and playing it, I'm like, I'm doing this as a job, and and that part is selfish, where I'm like, buy my thing, but then the people connecting to it is great. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense. No, I get it, and that's the thing though. It's like it's also like, I don't know, like does that make every job selfish? I think because I'll be honest, like this is interesting. Like I think I used to like when I started doing Above the Bridge, it was like journalism. Like, it was so like I don't know if pure is the right word, 'cause it's still pure, but it's like it was so rooted in like passion. It still is, right? But it was like the only thought, and like that thought can be the only one that exists until you've done it for 3 years and you put thousands of hours to it, and then you move to LA and you don't have any money in your bank account. then that thought isn't the only one that exists. So then the other one comes in. And the other one's, how do I make a living off this? And then you suck at that for a while. You don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you do it, like, you then, at least I did, you question, like, how much do I pursue that part of it?
Yeah.
And, like, does that have to be antithetical to the creation of it? Can it be both? But that gets, like, super complicated, because there's been times where, like, I've done things, like, you know, that, like, creatively that, like, made me money, but, like, I'm not, like, in love with, and it's just, like, is that wrong? I don't know.
No, like,
yeah,
it's another one that's complicated. It's
yeah.
Like, it just, like, oh my God, there's, like, not one answer.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. But I think, yeah. Oh my God. I don't know. Because, well, and also in something that involves, like being an artist that, like, involves your face and, like, your, now, like, your personality because of, like, TikTok or whatever, all of it. Like, something that is so, like, ego focused. Like, it's not, like, I'm working really hard at this company. It's, like, like, I am this artist. Like, I'm a part of this art. Like, it's my face.
Yeah.
Like, that part makes it feel, and even with Above the Bridge, like, it's you.
Yeah.
It's, like, I feel like, which for me, it just gets really, it's really hard to separate.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then it's like, yeah, because you're right. It's like, but then, yeah, because, oh, that's so complicated and true, but it's like, it's like, what can you separate? What can you not? Like, are there, I'll ask you, do you think, like, is there Devon again, the musician, and then Devon the person? And are they have, I mean, of course they're different, right? Yeah. But, like, but you're also writing about you know? Yeah. So, like, are they different?
I mean, that's the thing. It's just like, they're totally different. They're totally different, but they're both like, they're both me. So I don't know. It's like, I feel like that separation, I want that separation for me to be bigger, because I feel like I can't really I'm still at a point where I can't really look at my music as, like, this, or like Devon again as, like, this, a part of me. Like, it kind of just feels like it is me. Like,
yeah.
I want it to be more of that, almost like work home separation.
Yeah.
Where I'm
yeah.
Like, and I don't know, but maybe I don't really know.
Yeah.
I think that, I feel like for it to be sustainable, there has to be, like, a separation.
Yeah.
But for me, there's like, not really all of the way, but there is, but I don't know. I've
struggled with that a lot, and it's not just, it's interesting too, because the separation runs a lot deeper than just, like, how much time you're putting into work and how much you're not. It's actually more about, like, how much are you thinking about work and how much are you not, and those are two different things, because, like, it's really fucking hard for me to, like, take a shower sometimes, or, like, go to bed and not think about Above the Bridge. You know, and I'm not working at it. In fact, I'm resting, you know, like I'm chilling in bed, but it's like my mind is still there. So how do you get to the place where it's like you understand that you are not your art and you're more than your art, and it's a part of you, but it's not all of you, and that's hard. When I first met Tim from Make Out Music, Tim Chen, who's, like, a great friend of mine, we went out to coffee or lunch or something one day, and I was talking about that with him, and he's a dude who's, like, been in music for, like, a very, very long time. I remember asking him, I was like, how do you, like, separate those two parts of you? And I remember he looked at me and he was like, what do you do outside of music? And, like, I remember feeling that, and I was like, fucking, I play music. I was like, I play drums in a band for fun. I was like, I hang out with all my friends who are musicians and work in music, and I listen to music, and it's like, I'm still in love with it. I'm not jaded at all, like, with it. Well, I mean, I'm jaded, but I'm not, like, you know, I'm very in love with it. But it's like, how much is too much, you know? Yeah, I don't know. And then a part of me is like I'm still so, like, I'm like, there's not too much, but that's like, I think that because, like, I'm young still, and I'm still excited, and I still, like, am passionate about it, but I think there's, like, I'm kind of scared of, like, me too, like, getting to a point in my life, like, okay, if this doesn't work, then literally who am I? Like, literally what do I have? And recently when that like, I feel like I had a month where I was like, should I go to school?
Should I do whatever? And then I was like, I have to just literally completely shut that voice down again of like, what do I do? And then I think it's just gonna waver. I think it's gonna keep coming in and out of like, who am I? Like when things are going well, I'm like, I don't have to think about who I am. But like when it's like, I'm like, oh, like I don't like the songs I've made, or like this like shoot didn't go well, then I'm like, I don't know.
And that shit's so weird because there's not a lot, there's like no other career that's like that.
Yeah.
Like if you're a lawyer, well, actually, that actually is an interesting example. Actually, I just said that off the top of my head, but that's kind of an interesting example too. Like, if you were like a, I don't know what the word would be, but like, let's say like a 911 operator. Yeah. You take that home with you every single day, and in a very different way.
Yeah.
In the music way, it's kind of a happier way, but like, it's kind of like a byproduct of turning what you love into your job, and I think turning what you love into your job could be the most beautiful thing ever, but I also really understand why people don't want to do it. Yeah. Like, I know people who love music as much as me, but, like, they've been like, I would never make it my job because I think I would hate it. And that, I think, is so valid, and I totally understand, you know? But I don't know. I feel lucky that it still ignites me, and, like, I never, ever really don't want to listen to music, you know? Yeah. Which I'm very grateful for, but I relate to you. I'm scared that it might come one day. I hope it doesn't, though. Yeah. Yeah, it's scary.
Well.
When you... What?
There's crazy conversation. My brain's like, wow.
Yeah, it's like whoa.
Wow, that's insane.
So speaking on that kind of leap of faith, when you moved out here, you know you're living the community living, then you go back to school, and then you kind of go back doing the artist thing. When you go back to doing the artist thing, it was like during the pandemic where TikTok kind of started working for you, right? Was that, because at least from like an outside perspective, like it seemed like that was super fast, very like all at once, but you'd been working at it for a while at that point. When that happened, and like that moment kind of just like everything started moving, was that only exciting, or was it overwhelming? Was it scary? Like, did you feel ready for it? How'd you kind of like deal with that time?
It was super overwhelming. Well, like anything that I had written or made on my own was completely on my own. Like, just like when I moved back, I moved after pandemic. I moved home for like 6 months, and then I came back to LA, and then I was living in a garage this time, and I was like literally like the saddest I have ever been. Like I had no plan and like no money. I was just like, I'm in LA and I have no plan and no money. Like, what is going on? And when TikTok started to work, it was like the first thing that worked was like I duetted a beat, and it like went viral. And then that was like, then managers were reaching out to me and producers were reaching out to me, like A&Rs and whatever, and that was when I learned what all of that was for the first time. Interesting. Like, all at once, before I had worked with a producer, like before I had a fully produced song. So it was like, it kind of felt like a TV show. It felt like it was like I would like won American Idol or something, and they're like, welcome to the industry. Like,
yeah, you did it, congrats.
Yeah, like you're in. And it was super, super overwhelming because I'm just like, the fact that it worked out the way that it did, I'm like, that's a miracle. Like, what the fuck? But yeah. I think, it was super, super overwhelming, just like, even just like learning what any of the things were. Yeah. And I feel so lucky that happened, because I don't know when or how I would have learned without that. Like, yeah. I mean, that's the kind of thing where there's like literally, I mean, I guess there's like the internet and shit, but it's like it's really hard to like learn that without the experience. You have to just like be in it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I thought I knew things about the music industry, and then I moved to LA and realized I didn't fucking know anything. Yeah. You know, it's like, if you're not really in it, it's hard to like comprehend what it all means, and like the way in which all these moving pieces like work with each other.
You can't actually grasp it.
Yeah. Until you see like the process of like what happened. You know, you see the, oh, this person got signed, or this person, like I said, they blew up, they got signed, this happened, and then their crew went here. It's like, you have to like see those things happening, you know? Yeah. I would imagine too, like, when that moment kind of happened and all those things were happening at once, people were reaching out, did you feel like you were like moving out into a new place out of your life? Like, I guess the better way to ask this question is, when you were sad living in that garage, did that little bit of proof help, or did it not?
It did. It was like, okay, there's, because after that, then it was like, I was meeting producers and I was showing producers my demos, which were like just sad guitar, like it just like, I don't know, it was like someone who is better than me wants to help me, was like a wow, okay. And then like talking to managers and also managers just like just fucking gas you up to no avail. Like when they're trying to get something, like they're like, you're so good, because they know that you don't know anything, so they're like, sweet precious baby girl,
little girl, you're so good.
Little girl, you're such a good singer, come to my office. And like,
it's like the Elvis movie.
Yeah. And like they know that you don't know anything, like just based on how I was speaking, just being like, yeah, I love choir, like I didn't know what anything was. And you can tell automatically if you're in the industry and you're talking to someone who doesn't know what the fuck is going on, you can tell immediately, because they're like, I just love singing, like I'm so excited to be talking to you today. Like I don't talk to people like that anymore. I'm like, hello, like what do you want?
And what do you want?
What the fuck do you want from me? So like you can tell. And then so everyone was just really validating and really like, just because it was so many different points of people, it was like, okay, I've achieved something, something's gonna come from this. But it was also like, yeah, like what the fuck is going on? Did you feel any like imposter syndrome, like difficult to believe that like it was happening? Yeah, I still do. Because there are people astronomically more talented than me everywhere, and there are people like also more dedicated than me, and also more whatever. There are people more everywhere, and I think I'm always gonna feel that, but it is just like a matter of I'm like, I guess like I want it, which means that I'm not gonna stop trying, which means that I guess that I thank you.
And well, it's interesting too, because it's like there can be somebody who like they're way more talented than somebody else who found success, but maybe like the no meal thing that we're calling success is just not what they wanted. like maybe like they don't want that, or maybe they do, but this is a really weird concept. Who was that? Who did I talk to? It was Buppy. We talked on doing this interview. I did an interview with him. We talked about this for like an hour. Like the idea that there's like this, like there's the music, and then there's the business that is music, and one of them you kind of have to like get lucky to figure out. The other one you can be born with or you can get good at. But it's like, dude, like if you don't meet somebody who knows a lot about the industry, it's really fucking hard to learn this shit and to understand it. And it's like there are people that like just are like ridiculously talented, but like they don't understand like the business side of this, and unfortunately that is like, you either have to like, you know, something goes viral and so you find somebody very quickly that's like willing to help you with that, or you just sometimes it just doesn't work out, you know. That's kind of a scary thought too. Like this is like a, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. It's kind of a scary question. Like,
I'm ready.
You're like, no. Do you think there's a point where you would have stopped if you didn't find like any bit of success?
Yeah, I feel like I was like, wait, no, I think it just would have taken a lot longer and been a lot harder.
Yeah.
Like, because in my head, I'm like, okay, yeah. Like, if I had to live in that house for any longer, like I just would have, like, I was so lost. Like, I was so directionless and, like, so sad. I was, like, there.
Yeah.
But I I know that I would have just like figured out how to survive and also would have continued creating and making things. I don't think there is a world where I will like would have ever stopped, because it's just like I make music because I feel like I need to, like, for myself.
I'm definitely of the belief that, like, I don't think you can do this without those moments.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you can skip them. I think it seems like some people skip them, but they never do. We just don't know about them.
Oh my God.
You know? I just don't think you can skip those moments. I think they happen to everybody who finds their way in this. Like, they have those.
Yeah.
And there's no way to, like, creatively work around it, you know? But I also feel like, I mean, I'm not religious, but I kind of just believe in, like, I kind of just believe in the universe. But it's like, that was so Aquarius sign of core of me. I believe in the universe. But, like, I do genuinely believe that, like, like, at your lowest point is when those things happen. I think you gotta, like, be that low to, like, understand, like, the perspective at which, like, you need to gain to, like, find the heights, you know?
Yeah.
It's strange. It's definitely scary that you have to get to that point sometimes, but it's like, I just don't think there's any way around it.
I think you're right. And I think even the people who I look up to the most, who, oh my God, I'm like, they've all had those moments more than once. More than once. Like, it happens. Yeah.
There's no way around it.
Yeah.
So the TikTok stuff starts happening. You're, like, finding traction. You know, there's industry people talking to you. How do you see, like, your music change during that time when you kind of were, you know, you said you were going in with more, like, just sad acoustic songs, and then do you find, like, a moment where, like, you think you find your sound? Like, what do you think were the biggest changes to the way your music sounded at that period of time?
Yeah, I mean, I think the moment that I remember, like, the most is just Suburbia. Like, I brought in the chorus to Cameron, and he was like, "What do you want?" And I was like, I want to, like, I really love Remy Wolf, and at that point I was, like, really listening.
Yeah, she's great.
Remy Wolf. She's so good.
She's awesome.
Yeah, and I love, like, I don't know, I was in, like, fucking jazz, like, competitive jazz choir when I was in high school. So I was like, I really want it to, like, that song specifically, I was like, I want it to be, like, very musical, like, very just, like, but I just wanted, I was like, here's my reference, which is, like, Remy Wolf and, like, Hiatus Coyote, and Cameron's like, you're not that, and I'm like, right, okay, totally. And then it just, like, turned into, that was when it, like, turned into pop music. Like, it kind of wasn't that before. It was just, like, sad music when I wrote on my own. And because I don't think I had, like, the skill to, like, produce, or, like, in writing alone, like, I didn't really have, like, the way to, like, produce out a pop song. It just never really happened naturally. And then so working with Cameron, who's, like, a pop producer, he was like, pop song, and then I was like, wait, this is so awesome. I was like, this is so fun. And then it just kind of went from there, where I was like, oh, this is what I want to make. I want to make stuff that is, like, accessible, but I mean, me, obviously. And then later it sort of transitioned into, like, more alternative-ish stuff. Yeah. Do
you resonate with, like, the pop label?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, because I, like, at my core, I'm like, there's still the like, the little child in me is like, I'm Hannah Montana. Like, I want to fucking.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like, I want to dance.
Yeah.
I want to, like.
Yeah.
Pop girl.
Yeah.
So I kind of love it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I get it. I think people run from it, which I think is silly. I think like I don't know if people run from it. It pop music's so fucking sick. I feel like the majority of all the music that I love is pop music, you know?
Pop music is awesome.
Like, it's such a strange thing that, like, we've taken on, like, this negative connotation with the word pop.
Yeah, it is funny.
But it's like, I don't know. It's like people wanting to embrace something that they just don't like sometimes, you know?
I'm like, there's some pop music that's bad. There's some every genre that's really fucking bad. I'm like, but if it's pop music and it's good pop music, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I feel like all, like, pop music is like, well, I don't even know if I would call it this, but I guess, like, what comes to mind first is like at least somewhat, like, traditionally structured music, and, like, things that are popular and things that have, like, you know, have, like, somewhat natural chord progressions, like
Yeah.
things that like, you know, I feel like outside of that, like that's like that's like most things. Like
Yeah.
it's like almost everything.
It's
There's some
most
bubble
things.
popping, you know.
I feel like the biggest thing about pop that I'm like, yeah, I'm a pop girl, is like I want it to sound expensive. I want it to sound like it was like I don't know, just like the drama that happens with pop, where I'm like, this is just like, it's a machine. I'm like, this is like sellable. There's just something about that where I'm like, wow, like
Get this on the billboards.
get this on the billboards.
Yeah.
Like the bigness of it. I'm like
it's grandiose. It's
Yeah.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Giving your music. Wow. That makes a lot of sense. That's interesting. Yeah. Because there is like a, like, yeah, I know what you mean. I think that's like kind of what I meant with the moment thing. It's like, because your songs they always have like moments, and like I think those moments are like very indicative of pop music very often, you know.
Yeah.
It's why the hyperpop thing's so interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like the whole like where does it begin, where does it end? Because like I whoever came up with the term hyperpop, I think actually like really hit the nail on the head, because like it really is just like traditionally structured, like focused on like generally very catchy melodies that like are very appealing to the ear, but like it incorporates like very, very online, like modern modern production techniques,
Right.
like things that like wouldn't have happened in like, you know, like Natasha Bedingfield, shit like that, like that wouldn't have happened like on a production level, but on a songwriting level, it's like that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, and that's all like hyperpop is to me. It's like pretty traditional pop written music, but like really, really updated and like nuanced production, I guess.
Sure.
You know. Yeah.
Sure.
It's interesting. It's cool you bring up Remy Wolf, because I feel like similarly, you guys kind of have like similar distinctions between like your branding and then also like the music, which is really cool to me.
Yeah.
Because it's like you and Remy, I think, both like you have, you know, like you have like obviously your EP name and like like things like that are just like obviously more silly and like not taking yourself too seriously, but like the lyrics and the music are very like serious and like sometimes tackle like very difficult topics. Like I think Remy does that a lot too. My favorite Remy Wolf song is the Street You Live On off her last record.
I'm gonna cry. I love that fucking song.
That song is like incredible. There's like an MTV version that she did of it. It's like a live session that's like, it's like gut wrenching. But
oh my god,
I always point, yeah, it's so good. But I always point, because I know like I know exactly what she's talking about. But it's like I point to that one a lot, because like it's something that like given her brand and stuff, like you just would never think that she would write, you know, because she's so like
cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. How do you like not take yourself super seriously when you're writing about things that are so personal to you? Like, how was that something it comes naturally, or you have to kind of develop that? Like, was it a conscious practice?
I think it, I'm just like, why? I feel like taking it too seriously for me just makes it less fun, and I'm like, why would I do it if it's not fun?
Yeah.
Like, I think, yeah, I don't know. I think it's also just, it's just like easier. I think that,
Yeah.
because I mean, that's how just like I connect with people in real life most of the time, is like
silly.
Yeah, silly. That's where I feel I don't feel like I'm not like, I think part of it is like I'm like, that's what I have, like that's my that's the thing that I have. Like I don't feel like I'm not gonna like pretend to be super smart or pretend to be like really good at guitar. Like I don't know, I'm just not, I just all that I kind of feel like I have is my humor, and that's what that's like where I feel safe and where I have fun.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's but I do think though, like people who are funny are usually pretty smart. Like I think there is like a level of like awareness that you have. Like I don't think you can be funny without being self-aware.
That's true.
You know.
That's true.
Yeah, and it's cool though, because like I see that, because I know you and you are funny, but it's like there's obviously like the level of like there's some lyrics you have like on Burn Down, you said the last lyric, or it's like the last stanza, it's a tragedy to grow up. Like I always go back to that, and that's like to me very indicative of like your writing. But it's like that is so like, it's not like sad per se, but it's like that lyric to me, like, I go back to that one a lot because it's super like, it's like you feel it, you know, because it is.
Yeah.
It's
bad.
It's sad.
It kind of sucks.
Yeah. Also, like the feel. Yeah, because I don't know. Like I kind of perceive that. It's just like the feeling of growing up is so visceral. Like you know what it feels like. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I do.
Yeah. And it just keeps happening too.
Yeah.
It like growing up was different when I wrote that song than it is right now. Like
how so?
Like I was just a different age. Like like it just I was like I'm growing up. Like yeah, it just means different things now. Like now it's like my frontal lobe is about to fully develop.
Yeah.
It was not at the time that I wrote it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it.
It's just different.
Yeah, I get it.
It's scarier now.
Yeah.
It's like more real.
There's like different implications to it.
I'm 23, I feel like I'm 30.
Yeah.
When I wrote that, I was like, I'm 20, I'm 17. And now I don't know.
Damn, that switch is crazy when you start feeling older versus younger. I think it has a lot to do with who you're around too. Like, I think when I got into music stuff, I was the youngest person in every single room for like the first however many years of it. Now I'm not always. I'm usually one of the younger ones, but like I'm usually not like the youngest anymore.
Yeah,
so which is strange, you know?
Yeah.
It's like weird when that happens.
It's weird.
Yeah. Okay. Last thing I want to ask you. There was like one message that you could spread like through your music, like one thing you could translate. I know it's a lot to summarize, but there was something you could like pass to somebody from music. What would it be?
From my music. You mean like from my just from okay.
Maybe not necessarily just from your music, but just you.
I don't know. I think I don't know. I think the thing that I'm thinking about all of the time is that kind of like we said, you're saying like there are people who are better / working harder / doing whatever / what, but like if you fuck, that's so lame. Everyone is like, believe in yourself, but like
it's true.
It's like kind of it's like if you feel like you're supposed to achieve something or share something, you just are. And like if you have like it also like I'm talking about this as if I've like achieved success, but like
well, you have. I mean,
I just think like if you have like a clear vision and like idea of what you want to do and you like work towards it, it just literally will happen. Like it also fuck it just won't, because nuance.
Yeah, but
I don't know. I'm also I think that it's so like make sure that the people around you like will fucking go to bat for you. That is like the most important thing, I think because in the like if you believe that something will happen, it will, but only if you're in a pool of people who believe it in the way that you do.
Yeah.
Like,
wow.
You just like if you're like covered by something, if someone's like not serving your like your art or your whatever, like oh my god, just like if you're in the pool, like it's just gonna work. You just have to find the people and be in the pool and believe in yourself and in the pool, and it just literally will work because you're all gonna believe in it so much that there's no other option.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the only way that cool things get made and people release things and then thus impact other people's lives. So
Hashtag the pool.
Hashtag the pool.
Yeah. Type. Devon again. Thank you so much.
Sorry.
Why are you sorry?
Because that was terrible.
That was awesome. No. Okay. Hashtag the pool.
Hashtag the pool.
That was wonderful. That was like super great. That the conversation specifically about like the music stuff really was sick to me. Like I feel like that's not those are thoughts I don't get to share enough, and those that was really cool to hear your perspective on it.
Share them. I'm glad I got to hear them.
Yeah. Thank you for being here and doing this. This is super fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Tell them where they could find your music and follow and stream and do all the things.
You can follow me on Instagram at trashy and you can follow my Spotify where my name is Devon again, Fred again's brother, and
God, dude.
I have a SoundCloud and a YouTube. So And a TikTok. I have a
those
TikTok. It's body like Lego is my TikTok.
What does that mean?
Like no curves. You know, the Coke bottle, opposite of Coke bottle. Coke bottle body. Lego body. Lego body.
Lego. I'm like a Lego. I got a lot of little bumps on me.
A little bumpy.
I'm a little bumpy.
And I fit perfectly into other people who are the same size as me.
All right.
Thank you.
Music matters. Thank you so much. Devon again. All right. Music matters.